which team is the biggest threat to Giannis in the Bucks in the East?
Well, for me, it would be the Miami Heat. I don't anticipate that anybody will beat Milwaukee, but the team in terms of the biggest threat, I go with the Miami Heat because I look at the fact that in the two meetings they played them this year, they beat them. That's not a big deal. Last time they played was in January, if I remember correctly, and I think the first time they beat them was like the second or fourth game of the season when Jimmy Butler wasn't even there. But I just look at Miami's perimeter shooting. A guy like Duncan Robinson pulling up from the parking lot, shooting nearly 45% from three. A Tyler Hero shooting about nearly 40% from three. The Goran Dragics of the world, the Kendrick Nunns of the world at 36, 37% from three-point range. Their ability to close things out with a Bam Adebayo, considering his energy, particularly on the defensive end, along with the collection of bodies that they've got to throw at the Greek Freak. And they have the athleticism and quickness to get out and defend against Milwaukee's perimeter shooting, to get out there quick enough to defend some of their perimeter shooters, because we all know that Milwaukee can shoot the basketball. I think the combination of those things makes Miami a significant threat. Also, the fact that they're playing with house money because nobody would expect anything from them, combined with the fact that I think the Andre Iguodala and Jay Crowder pickups were significant. Now, that might compromise you to some degree because if they're on the floor and as a result, Hero and Duncan Robinson are not on the floor, then you compromise some of your shooting for some of the defensive prowess and experience that they could give you. But I got faith in Eric Spoelstra in terms of his ability to figure things out, at least enough to make things very, very interesting. And that's why I look at Miami as a bona fide threat against Milwaukee, more so than anybody else in the Eastern Conference.
Well, respectfully, because I respect that pick, I think that Miami, you make a lot of good arguments there. But I don't think that that's actually the number one threat to Milwaukee. And the reason is you got to match up with Milwaukee with one guy, really. You got to match up with the Freak. You got to, as you pointed out, Stephen A., be able to pick him up early before he gets ahead of steam, right, as Kawhi Leonard did. And then you got to be able, that alone is not enough. That Kawhi did the best job humanly possible, kept his shooting percentage and basically scoring efficiency as low as it's possible for a primary defender to do it. But then you got to funnel him into bigs, right? So you need that matchup. And while Jimmy Butler and Bam match up that way, they have talent and they have a lot of heart. They don't have the size that Ben Simmons and Embiid do. Ben Simmons has been an all-universe defender this year and is just the kind of guy who could pick him up early and funnel him the right way and do the best job humanly possible. And Embiid is the guy who can meet him in the paint. They have, and both of their talents are pitched incredibly high. In terms of the pitch of their talent, I'm not talking about heart and all that stuff, just the pitch of their talent higher than Butler and Adebayo. Now, when you talk about the other pieces on the Sixers, no, they don't have the shooting Miami does. They don't. Although Tobias Harris can play offense. But other than Harris, they have defense everywhere you look. And by the way, they came up with Shake Milton, who's an actual player. He's not just like one of these guys who he has a starring role for a minute and he's passable. Shake can play. He can do that, and that's why you can put Simmons at the dunker spot. And the real issue with the Sixers has been, amazingly, right, that they can't play Embiid and Horford together. And so Horford has to go to the bench, right? It has to be Simmons and Embiid starting in the front court and power forward and center, and Horford on the bench. But damn, that's a guy to bring off your bench. Horford, when he's not in the way, but he can do his thing. And also, by the way, do the same thing. Defend the paint. They have the size and the style, I think, to match up with Milwaukee, and their two best players, Simmons and Embiid, when they're at their best, can hit heights that most other teams, they don't have a guy like that who can hit heights like that on both ends of the floor. And finally, Embiid does that self-load management usually, I think. It's why I don't think they're as good on the road. But now there is no road. It's all, everyone's in the bubble. And now there's no long season where he has to self-load manage because the team won't do it for him. It's a sprint now, so I expect to see the best of Embiid. I think the Sixers are the number one threat to the Bucks.
Max, I agree. It feels like yesterday it was Christmas Day and we watched Joel Embiid absolutely go off against the Bucks. And a lot of people are going to question his health, but if he's healthy, he's one of the most dominant players there is in the NBA. Now, a lot of people are going to try to use the regular season record by saying they were atrocious on the road. And that counter argument is, well, okay, none of these games are on the road, nor are they at home. They're at a neutral site. And Ben Simmons is relentless on the ball. With that type of ball pressure, his size is 6'10", his footwork, his dexterity, the way they dig down and he defends, that is the kind of relentless defender you want on Giannis, right? It makes sense. And plus, I like the fact that, I'm not saying I believe in Brad Brown over I believe in Coach Bud, but I like the fact that Brett Brown, has ultimately put, when you think about Ben Simmons at that 4 spot, right? It causes a lot of nightmare matchups for other teams because then you're trying to worry about, you have to respect Shake Milton because he averaged 18 over that 10-game stint. Like, he's shooting the ball well from the outside, and he's another really good defender. So is Josh Richardson, another really good defender. Tobias Harris can potentially knock down shots from the outside. I'm not saying that the 76ers are going to go all the way there to the Eastern Conference Finals, but if they do happen to match up early against the Bucks, that is a matchup I don't think the Bucks want to see. Now, the question is, can the 76ers score enough points to match that ultimately with the Bucks? But the one thing I have seen from the scrimmages over the last couple of weeks is that defensively, this might have benefited the 76ers more than any other team in the Eastern Conference. So many questions looming around. You can't play Al Horford, Joel Embiid together. What about the history of Ben Simmons? But them being rebooted now, I think gives them an opportunity to prove to the world that they can defend the best team in the Eastern Conference, which is the Bucks.
So,
Stephen A.
So Jay, I'm
quickly,
hearing this correctly. You're agreeing. You're agreeing with the Sixers. You're agreeing with Max on the Sixers, correct, Jay?
I am. Yes.
Max, I'll throw it to you by saying this: what the hell is wrong with both of y'all? Have y'all forgotten who the Sixers are away from the Wells Fargo Center in Philadelphia? Totally different world. It doesn't matter where they go. It'd be one thing if you just had a problem with a particular team. They have a problem with any venue outside of Philadelphia. Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.